Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to dive into a really modern problem today, something I think we all feel. It's this illusion of knowledge. In a world where we have information at our fingertips, why do we feel this pressure to have an opinion on absolutely everything? And more importantly, what's the real danger of all this false confidence?
All right, so let's just jump right in. We are absolutely drowning in information, right? Every second of every day. And yet there's this weird pressure we all feel to be an expert on, well, everything. But here's the big question. Is that confidence actually real? Or are we just getting really, really good at faking it?
So Section 1, the age of false confidence. And it really makes you wonder, where does all this misguidance actually come from? Well, according to the speaker we're looking at today, the problem isn't that we don't have enough information. Oh no, it's all about how we're engaging with it. And this quote on the screen, it just hits the nail on the head. The biggest cause of misguidance is incomplete research. I mean, think about it. We see a headline, maybe we watch a 30-second clip, we get that instant emotional reaction, and boom, suddenly we're an expert. I mean, just scroll through your social media feed for a minute. Everyone, and I mean everyone, seems to be an expert on politics, religion, history, international affairs, even medicine. And the crazy part is, they're not just sharing their thoughts. They are delivering these opinions with this incredible, unshakable certainty. Okay, so this brings us to our next section, the two big mistakes. How on earth do we get trapped in this cycle of thinking we know it all? Well, the speaker points out two fundamental errors that pretty much all of us are making. Let's break them down. So the first big mistake is that we're confusing real, genuine research with something the speaker calls blind following. You know what this looks like? It's not deep investigation, it's scrolling through YouTube and social media. It's not carefully weighing different sources, it's just grabbing onto one narrative that feels right and running with it. And the second mistake? Honestly, this one might be even bigger, and it all comes down to ego. It's right there in the quote. None of us is prepared to admit, I don't know anything. We are terrified to just say, I don't know. We think it makes us look weak, but in reality, it's the absolute first step towards gaining any real knowledge. Now, this leads us to Section 3, a case of propaganda. And here's the thing. This whole culture of incomplete research doesn't just lead to, some heated arguments in the comments section. It's much more serious. It makes us incredibly vulnerable to manipulation and propaganda. And the speaker shares a personal story that illustrates this perfectly.
So, the story begins when he publicly made a critical comment about a popular religious app. He said that the Quran translation in the Islam 360 app was wrong.
Now what happened next is key. The app's developers actually got in touch with him, they clarified their position, and after that conversation, he decided to retract his original statement. But this is where the story gets twisted. So then some other content creator comes along. They take his initial critique and they take his later retraction where he says, I retract my statement about Islam 360, and they edit them together. But they added a third piece, that completely unrelated clip of someone threatening him. So what's the new story this creates? What narrative does this build? It makes it look like he backed down because he was scared, right? That he only retracted his statement because of the threat. But that threat had absolutely nothing to do with his decision. And this is just a brilliant textbook example of how propaganda works. You take a few true things, stitch them together out of context, and create a complete lie. All right, that brings us to Section 4, the wisdom of silence. So if we can't always do the deep research and we're this vulnerable to manipulation, what's the alternative? What are we supposed to do? Well, the speaker proposes a really simple but powerful protocol for dealing with all these unverified claims we see every day. It's like a path to clarity. First, you hear some accusation or claim. Second, you realize you can't personally verify it. 3, you have to admit you have incomplete information. So, what's the wise choice? The wise choice is to adopt silence. If you don't know for sure, if you haven't done the work, the strongest and wisest position you can take is just silence. Don't jump in. Don't form a strong opinion. Just be quiet. And look, this is not some new revolutionary idea. This is an ancient form of intellectual strength. The speaker brings up the story of Imam Malik, one of the greatest scholars in history, to really drive this point home. So the story goes that a man traveled for a very, very long way to ask Imam Malik a series of questions, 36 questions to be exact. And for every single one of those 36 questions, this great revered scholar gave the same answer,
I do not know. Can you imagine that? It's just such a powerful demonstration that true knowledge, it really begins with recognizing the limits of what you know.
Okay, Section 5, a pledge for clarity. It's so important to understand that this isn't about being passive or disengaged, not at all. It's about making an active, conscious choice for truth over our own need to just be right.
This is what you'd call intellectual humility. It's the practice of choosing silence over speculation. It's an active commitment to stop the spread of misinformation, both from you and to you. It's like you're becoming a filter for all that noise out there.
So, the speaker suggests we all make a personal commitment, a pledge, really. And it's summed up perfectly in this quote. Until there is 100% research on something, do not open your lips. Just think about that. It's a pledge to not speak until you've actually done the work.
And that really leaves us with a final thought to take away, a question for all of us. In a world that is constantly demanding your opinion on everything, what is the one thing you can choose to be thoughtfully, intentionally silent about today?